What's good, Josh? Your boy 21 Trader in NBA, and we are back with another banger. And I promise you, I was gonna keep trying to drop bangers after bangers after bangers, but it's kind of hard for me. I ain't gonna lie to you, because the ideas gotta keep flowing and flowing and flowing and flowing. But the video I'm gonna be dropping today is how I made almost 7K in the forex market with AUD JPY, and that is one of the pairs I do trade, and I am trying to find my my lover pair. Like, I'm not in love yet, but I do like a lot of pairs. But AJ is one of my pairs I do trade, and I did make a good 60 pips each position. I took a total of 3 positions, 2 on the same account and 1 on a different account, and I'll be showing you guys both of them. So let's hop on the chart and let's get to it. All right, guys, so we are on the charts. If my microphone sounds a little buggy right now or just it's because I'm using the camera right now instead of an actual microphone, and I do need to get one because that situation is bugging right now. But this is the trade I did see. My charts was very, very, very simple and very clear to read. So in this scenario, I was definitely looking for a continuation sell after it gave me a signal, and I was started to go on the lower time frames. But I also kept in mind that the 4-hour was looking good, right? This is what I was looking. This is exactly what I was looking at on the 4-hour. So on the 4-hour, I was like, okay. I said this to myself before it actually got there, but I said I should wait for the 9 o'clock so to see if price actually wants to shoot up, due to the fact that this is one, a zone, a very valid zone. 2, this is a doji, and this could be forming a candlestick pattern called a morning star. So on the 4-hour, I was looking at this, and I told myself I should wait until 9 o'clock before I do anything. But of course, I got a little impatient, but we did cut our losses very short, which I'm very fortunate of. And I was looking at the market like this, okay? So this was before the 50 EMA was in the conversation, because I just recently added that. So this is before that. I was looking at the chart just like this, right? I was taking into account that it was a long-term uptrend. So the trend is a bullish, but we just had a strong move to the downside in about 12 hours. And honestly, price was holding itself down in this little minor zone, which I know I said I wouldn't pay attention to minor zones, but this is the 4-hour instead of like a 15-minute minor zone. This is like a 4-hour, so it's kind of like a supply and demand type of thing, but on a little higher time frame. So technically speaking, it's support resistance, whatever you want to call it. But I decided to look at this, and I was like, okay, the 4-hour, I kept in mind about the 4-hour, but I was on a lower time frame, so I was looking at something like this, right? I was looking at this. I was like, okay, this candle might close as a bearish engulfing, and we might see a continuation on this trade. So I was looking for a sell due to the fact of the hour was showing me a bearish confirmation of the sell, right? Then I was really looking at this, right? I was definitely on a smaller time frame. I was looking at this. So I'm gonna bring the 5-minute in this conversation because I'm gonna just really show you what I seen. So this is what I seen in the market. I was looking at this. I was like, okay, whatever. Okay. And it had a little pull. It had a huge push down, and this is the move I was like looking at live, not on a 5-minute, but definitely live. The 15-minute does not show this, but I was looking at it live. So I was like, okay, so I want to get. I didn't wait for the candle to close at all. I didn't wait for the 9 o'clock, which was my issue, and that's part of my plan, is to wait for the candle to close. So, and that was on my fault. That was my fault. So, but with this trade, I was like, okay, since this is kind of an aggressive trade, I'm gonna definitely cut my losses short. And I went in for like a 12 lot, I believe. So let me see. Yeah, I went in for a 12 lot, and it was about 12 pips. So I lost 1,200. Great. So that trade looked exactly like that, and I was targeting the next zone, which was not. I wasn't targeting. This was like TP1, TP2, and max TP potential, or whatever. but this was definitely one of the zones, right? 40 pips. That was definitely the zone I was looking for mainly before I decided to hop out the trade. So the trade was active as a sell limit, and I was like, okay, set forget. Set forget, I'm gonna leave it alone. And that happened, and I was really questioning the whole thing, because if it comes right all the way back up like that, it's like, all right, cool, something's wrong, blase, whatever. So like I said, the 4-hour closed as a doji. It closed as a doji, and I'm like, okay, so this hit my stop loss, right? So I'm like, okay, no big deal, react and adapt, react to the market and see what it really wants to show you, right? So I seen this little here, something like here. I'm like, okay, if price really wants to hold, this holds itself down on a higher time frame, which let me scale in. I think this 30-minute will jump to conclusions, but I'm like, I'll get a position on here if price breaks out of here, because the 4-hour, if the 4-hour closes as a, let me go back just a little bit so you can see. So if the 4-hour closes, it has a huge push down, right? And the 4-hour or a high time frame has a doji at a zone, right? If it has a doji at a zone, I'm like, immediately, I'm already thinking, okay, it's going to have a morning star formation. That simple. It's just that simple. No ifs, ands, or buts, but obviously you have to wait for a little longer for confirmation for it to say so. And I'm like, okay, I definitely want to look. If that's the case, I definitely want to be in this trade, right? Because that's easily, and I mean easily, like 40 to possibly 40, a pull up here to 100 pips, back down, then 150 pips, looking for a higher low, right? After it was going on that, lower low, lower high, then it had a switch, but obviously it can be doing like, lower low, lower high, then a lower low. It can be doing whatever, right? But I was looking at it like, okay, now it's looking for a continuous push up long term. Obviously, it's going to be doing like something like this, something like that, and have like a huge push down, then a huge push up, or whatever the case is, right? So to go back to a smaller time frame, I'm like, okay, I want to get a position if price decides to break out. So let's go on a little smaller time frame, and let's just walk together in this one. I'm like, okay, price is playing around, has a little break here. And mind you, on a bigger time frame, it's showing more, right? So okay, before this. So we're gonna go back, because that's where I got my entry. I'm just going on a 5-minute to show you. So I have my entry, obviously, at zone, a little above the zone, right? And I am targeting new highs or previous zones, or whatever the case is. So my original TP was up here, because if it breaks these levels, it's going to continue to go up, right? That's just basic Forex. But I have my entry right above here, just a little bit. I have my stop loss very tight as well. And that's obviously, you've seen what happened next. I had it right here, and I was like, okay. So that's when I got triggered in the trade, but it was playing around for like a good 10 minutes, as you see, until 9 o'clock hit, which was now. It played around. That's exactly what happened. Playing around, I'm like, yo, if I lose this trade, I'm just gonna take a little break. You know what I'm saying? Just a little break. Like just recuperate, figure out what I need to do right instead of doing things incorrectly. So that's when price did that. I was like, okay, cool, right? Because I was slightly down, and I need to stop down myself. Price did that. I'm like, okay, price needs to break this zone to continue to go up. And that's where we can go on the higher time frame to see what really happened. And you see, price went up, price went down. I'm like, okay, perfect. Now we're at break even. Now we're finally at break even. We're just gonna put that back there so we can have it like boom. So price is at, my trade is at break even. Right now, I'm currently up about 3,000. Currently up about 3,000, right? Price came back. Price continued. Price came back. I'm like, as long as you stay above this zone, stay above here, then I know you're actually accurate. You're real. You want to actually push up. So it stayed above, pushed up. Great. Stayed above, pushed up. Great. I'm like, okay, now we need to tackle this zone. Once you tackle this zone, my stop loss will now be right here to the next low. So now we wait. Price finally pushed after 2 hours. Finally pushed up. I'm like, okay, now I need to close on a higher time frame, which is like a 30-minute. Close on a higher time frame up here, so I can finally put my stop loss right here. Did that. Stop loss is now here, right? I didn't want to put it here because I felt like that was too soon. Then I'm like I'm looking for zones over here. Obviously, I can look farther left and I can find zones. But right now, I was on my phone. I was not back at the house. I was not back at the main computer. So I'm like, okay, this could be a zone you should be worried at, right? Because right here, it should come up, right? It should. We had a huge push up and a huge pullback, right? I was like, Obviously, I know price is going to be pulling back and stuff, but that's when we was up 81 pips, and that was almost at a 5-figure mark. And I was just like, as soon as the trade hit 5 figures, I'm out. Probably. Like, honestly, like, I never hit 5 figures in one day. I hit it in 2 days before, but it was a demo account. I hit it. So my biggest trade on a funded account was 7,001 trade, right? And this was up 7,000 in 2 positions, and the other position was very small because the account was much smaller. So I'm like, okay, all right. I was just like, yo, if we don't have like some type of, a real pullback, we're just not going to it's going to have a meltdown, right? So that's just me, like, kind of like, yo, I like my profit. I just want to get out the trade type of thing. Because mind you, I'm already up. I was already up like 1 to 6, right? 1 to 6, which is great. I know price is going to pull back, right? And it did. This is where I got my exit. I tell y'all that. For some reason, I had the thought. I'm like, yo, if I just take my profit right now, I can just call it a day and just do whatever I got to do instead of being like, oh, I'm in a trade. Mind you, my break even was right here at that previous low, right? Because of here. So I decided to put it right below it. You feel me? So I'm like, I'm in the trade around this area, right? After this move, that put my account up in equity $7,500. I'm just like, oh, that's pretty good. I kind of want to get out. So I got out right here. I promise you not. Wait, what was the price I got out? Let me see. I got out at 94,443. 94,443. I manually closed it, not this stop out. Obviously, I told you stop out was right here. So I only stopped out because I was in a good mood. I'm just like, yo, let me just take this trade and be cool. Drop a big fat like, subscribe if you're new, and honestly, if I hit the 5-day mark and I am above 200K, I'm just gonna let the account rock, and I'm gonna take my free account. I'm just gonna start over because I don't want to pay for another one. So that's the plan right now, and I am trying to secure a bag. Okay. See you guys later. Sheesh.